we often forget at how many facets of life we have, how many parts of life make us who we are, make us the man we are. So let's make the decision to be unrivaled. Make the decision to get unrivaled momentum in our lives. The only way we get unrivaled momentum is if we are unhindered and we have complete clarity on what we're doing that drives our actions. I'm Clint Hoops, and this is the Unrivaled Man podcast. The Unrivaled Man is where we help businessmen like you be the unrivaled leader in their work and home. We're revealing the perspective you've been missing to upgrade your identity and become better husbands, fathers, family men, and business owners. Let's get started. Welcome to the Unrivaled Man podcast. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you are a longtime listener, also so grateful to have you here. If you have not yet left a review on Apple Podcast, I would sure appreciate the help there. Go ahead and you can stop the podcast right now. Head to Apple Podcast, scroll down to the bottom if you're on your mobile device, and it has a place where you can write a review. Click on there, leave a review, and man, I would sure appreciate it. It really does help other people find the show. Also, another thing I've been announcing is I have a few openings for my private one-on-one executive coaching that I offer. So what is this? This is where we get a chance, you and I, to work together to help you in any part of your business leadership. If you're ready to take things to the next level in your leadership, if you need help managing growth within your company, if you're feeling stagnant as a leader, as a person, feeling out of control at work or at home, and just need a different perspective, let's chat. Message me on social media, email me directly at clint@unrivaledman.com, and we will set up a time for a zero pressure call. We can work through and help you out. All right. So, interesting thing that's been going through my mind. I think about times in life where I have made myself miserable. Have you ever done this? Where you just kind of made yourself miserable? And you think, why did I do this? Why did I do that? I have way more control over my life and what's happening than this. Why am I doing this? Why am I making myself miserable? Because there are things I can do. I can control my world, right? But yet, still, I make some of the same decisions, poor decisions, over and over again. I say that I want my priorities to be X or Y, and then I don't do it, right? Or I don't do it to the extent that I wanted to. I commit to a certain level of performance and then I miss it. And you beat yourself up and you just don't quite take the control that you know you can. Anybody else feel this way from time to time? You know, we do this even from an early age. And I feel like it's kind of a perspective thing on what we're looking at and where our mindset is at. And as we grow, we get a little better at it, at being able to see it, but still, sometimes we need a little bit of help to see where we're at. It made me think, actually, of my little daughter. So I have a little daughter. She's, not quite 18 months old yet, but she's getting there. And she's still in a crib for a little bit longer. It's not long, I'm sure, before she'll be trying to crawl out of there, and we'll have to do something different. But she currently is still in a crib, and she still goes down for her naps during the day. And it's so funny. She'll go in, and usually she's pretty good at going down for a nap. But occasionally, when she doesn't want to go down for a nap, she'll go in there, and she will throw everything out of her crib, right? She has her little pillow and a blanket and maybe a little doll or something that she has, a little toy, something. Like, she'll throw everything out of her crib. And then scream because she wants it again, right? She throws it out. She's the one that does it. And then she screams and wants to get it back. Now, I'm sure she's probably trying to get our attention or something, right? And hoping we'll come back in and help her. Or who knows, maybe she's not thinking that far ahead, Maybe she's just thought it would be fun to see the stuff fall to the ground. But then, the same thing, she wants it again. She is making herself miserable. And so, and she does it over and over again. That's the interesting thing. It's not like she just did it once and then it's like, ooh, man, bad idea there. Shouldn't have done that. Lived, learned, wrote that down. I'm going to file that away and make sure that if I want to have my blanket, if I want to have these things, man, I shouldn't throw them out of the crib. And often we are the exact same way at life. We will do things that we know are going to make us miserable. We stay up late the night before important meetings, watching some show that doesn't add much value to our lives. It's entertaining. It could be fun. But it takes away our focus and getting the rest that we need the next day. I do this. Sometimes I think, what am I doing? Like in the moment, what am I doing? It's the equivalent of me having the blanket in my hand, standing in the crib, throwing it out as my little daughter. Yet sometimes still, I keep watching the show or doing the other thing that I know is going to make me more miserable the next day. But I think, what the heck? We'll let tomorrow deal with this. I'll let myself tomorrow deal with this. It doesn't hurt me right now, right? And those are the things that we have a chance to impact our own lives more than we think. So what do you think? Where in your life are you making yourself miserable? Where in your life do you have control, but yet you don't exercise that control? Where in your life do you need to get additional clarity on what you actually want to accomplish so that in the moment when you're about to make yourself miserable, you can make another choice? Sometimes I believe that we don't make these decisions because of clarity. Now, I have shared before on the show a little model that I have. It's called the Unrivaled Momentum Model. Now, this is a model that I share with many of my clients. I believe that true principles are true and enduring, and true principles apply across all parts of life. And I also believe that some of the most important principles and some of the most important things we can do are simple. Now, this model is pretty simple, but it can be very impactful. No model is perfect. No model holds up to all different types of situations and things. It can't be applied to everything. But I believe there are things that we can learn from different models. And perhaps there's something you can learn about getting momentum in your own life from the model that I'm going to share with you now. So it's called Unrivaled Momentum Model, and it's this. It is 3 separate things that I believe help provide momentum in our lives and in our businesses. The first one is desire. The next one is clarity. The next one is action. DCA. Desire, clarity, action. Desire, clarity, action. Now, you may be hearing those words and think, okay, heard this before, right? Heard this before. Now, I'm telling you, so many of these things we have heard before, but have we internalized them? Have we used them to actually change our mind, change our circumstance, change the outcomes in order to make ourselves more happy, more momentum? So start with desire. It really is a simple thing. We need to have desire, or at least a desire to be this person, right? A better person in whatever it is that we're working on. So you can go through this model in terms of a relationship with another person, improving a relationship. You can go through this model in terms of a goal you have for yourself. You can go through this model in several different ways, but first you must have a desire, right? A desire to improve in a certain area of your life or in your entire life. You have a desire to be this person that you know that you can become. this person that's out there in the future, this person that you almost know, right? You feel it inside. It's the person you are going to become. We'll say that once we get everything figured out, once we have a little more time, once we have a little more fill in the blank, we will become that person down the road. When really, being that person now is within our grasp. So you need to have a desire to be that person, or at least a desire to figure out who that person is, or what goals, or what different attributes, or different skills, or different things that I need in my life to be who I want to become. Desire to have those things. Next, you need clarity. Desire for those things, and then clarity on what it actually means, right? This can be similar to your goal setting, but this is more about deciding, getting crystal clear vision on who you want to be, or how you're going to accomplish this certain goal, or even just what it looks like when this goal or this thing is complete. What does it look like? What does it look like? What do we want it to look like? Do we feel like it's really within our grasp or not? Do we feel like it's way out there? It's out of the realm of possibility for us right now, but someday it will be. Well, how do we do that now? How do we get clear on it so that we can then have a clear path of action so that we can actually impact it, actually do the thing, right? Have a desire to actually improve, get clear on what the thing is, what it looks like, which is really goal setting in its simplest form, but even an element farther, it's an element of vision, clarity of vision, and then the action steps become more clear. Then after we've acted, then we go back around. We desire to improve it, refine it. Our goal gets even better, even more clear. So we refine it, have a desire to refine it. We get clarity on what these refinements are, these changes are, and then we act accordingly. And we go around and around and around in a circle. And that's where momentum can get in each part of our lives. We can do the same thing with ourselves personally. We can do this with our relationship with God. Desire to be closer to Him. We get more clear on what that looks like for us. What kind of person we want to be. What does the person we want to be do with their lives today? What would they do? What would they do today? Find out those actions and begin to do them. Have a desire to be even better. Refine it even more. Clarify what that means and act. Desire to be even better. Clarify what that means and act over and over and over again. And momentum begins to build in our lives. It gets more and more clear who we want to become and what the path is to get there. We don't need to make all the leaps now. We just need the next step. But having clarity on what the end goal looks like right now for us is what we need. Funny enough, though, the more clear we get, and as we start acting on those things to become that person, it's amazing what happens. That person we envision, it begins to change. It begins to refine even a little bit more than we originally envisioned. And our goals begin to change for the better because it's more aligned with who we want to be in whatever part of life we're working on. And it's amazing. We go back around, have a desire to improve, get more clear, and act again. And as that person gets refined more and more into the person we want to become, we take the steps, the actual actions to become that person, to become that father, to become that leader for your employees. You want to be someone who doesn't make yourself miserable. Don't make yourself miserable by doing the same leadership mistakes over and over again. You want to actually change those things. You often think about your tendencies. You think, well, this is something I usually do. You have people that will say that, right? They'll look at themselves, and I've done this. Goodness gracious. I'll be like, well, I'm one who struggles with this, but it's all right. We all have weaknesses. That's what we say. We pass it off. And that happens. But what if there are things we can do to improve ourselves in those specific areas? Or even just get people on our team that help support us in those things that we're weak. That's an interesting thought, right? There are ways to support our goals as part of the action. As we envision who we want to be, sometimes the action to improve things isn't always just us doing more, doing different, trying to make our weaknesses our strengths. At work, very often, the best thing you can do is realize where you're at by having a desire to improve, getting clear on it. And then part of your action is getting the right person in place to do the thing, to accomplish the goal, to accomplish the thing that you need to do. The biggest impact items in our operations, in our businesses, need to get done. You as the leader have the vision of what needs to happen, but you don't need to do every piece of it yourself. The more clarity you get in a vision, the more you can begin to find great people around you or use the great people you already have and help expand their abilities to accomplish that vision. A couple of podcasts ago, we talked about getting that clarity of vision. We talked about being a chief reminding officer, a CRO in your organization, like Patrick Lencioni says. But we talked about how your vision has to be clear first so that you can actually share that vision with everybody else. This is one of the ways that you do that, by having a desire to do it first. Clarity, and then action. Desire, clarity, action. And what does that give you? It gives you momentum that we talk about, the unrivaled momentum. Now, why unrivaled? The show Unrivaled Man, why is that? Unrivaled means no comparison. There is no one that can compare to you in your life. Of you being the unrivaled man in your life. You don't need constant competition between you and other people in that way. I'm all about winning and competing and being the best, but not in terms of comparison of ourselves to others. In this way, is who we are at our core. We compare ourselves to ourselves and compare ourselves to who we want to become and celebrate the progress that we make each day, each week, each month, each year toward getting a step closer to that man, to that unrivaled man, the one that's not compared to anyone else, so that we can be an unrivaled leader at work. We are the best person for our team and our people. So let's show up as that person. Let's get the unrivaled momentum that can't be compared to anyone else, because guess why? It's your life, your family, your children, your business. It's all yours. It's not compared. It cannot be compared to other people. We often compare where we're currently at in life to somebody else's life. And we often use words like they're ahead of me or I'm behind them. But we're often comparing one tiny part of somebody else's life to a tiny part of our life. And that's when we begin to make ourselves miserable again. We look at it and we say, oh, look how far ahead they are. And we often forget at how many facets of life we have, how many parts of life make us who we are, make us the man we are. So let's make the decision to be unrivaled. Make the decision to get unrivaled momentum in our lives. The only way we get unrivaled momentum is if we are unhindered, and we have complete clarity on what we're doing that drives our actions. That's why this model allows us to see how we can have that momentum in our life, momentum that begins to push us towards the person we want to become. Because it's us deciding we want to be that person. And we don't want to wait years to be that person. We want to be them now. So let's do it. That's the whole reason I have this podcast. It's the whole reason I love coaching people. It's the reason I love working with businesses in my consulting. I love it because I get a chance to improve myself a little more every day, become a little bit better leader. I get to help coach others and help them see how they can be just a little bit better in their lives as well each day. One step closer, a little bit more momentum each day until they find that they're making greater and greater strides in all parts of life and helping to avoid making themselves miserable from the actions that they are doing and from doing the same thing over and over again that they've always done. And just like the saying goes, doing the same things over and over and expecting different results. Something needs to change, and it might not be as drastic as you think. There's some little shifts in your life, little shifts in your perspective that can change everything for you, that can help you become the unrivaled man in your life. You got this. If you need some additional help, give me a call. Message me on social media. Send me an email at clint@unrivaledman.com. But look at yourself and go and be the unrivaled man in your life. And start now. You got this. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of the Unrivaled Man Podcast. I'm Clint Hoops, and if this show has impacted you, please share it with a friend or leave a review on Apple Podcasts.